What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Other Side of the Firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
What up?
What is going on? Welcome to another great week. Definitely tune in throughout the week. Monday's episode was Shannon's. We talked about the pass the mic kind of movement that happened on Twitter with certain accounts, like Scissors account, being handed over to one of their talented employees, a person of color, to take over the handle and to show that diversity and to get people thinking about it. A few other companies did it as well. Then on Tuesday, we had LeVon. He talked about Revil being what looks to be dead. For you say it twice, it's for real. Like for
That's
real.
right.
For real. It seems as though they're dead in the water. So he talked about how the U.S. government, as well as several international entities, came together to bring down Revil and to also encrypt their backups, so to make them dead in the water. So definitely tune in for that one. On Wednesday, I led a discussion about the current administration and the different departments of the federal government making new rules and how U.S. companies are able to sell software to what we deem to be authoritative governments that use that software to suppress their population. So pretty good discussion. We all had a little bit, not very varying views, but different aspects of how we felt this initiative is both good and bad. So definitely tune in for Wednesday's episode. And then today we talk about everything but cybersecurity, but I will plug. I am studying for something.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's been that long? That's your reaction?
Damn. Okay.
Like
okay.
you studying? I am studying for Azure AZ 900. So I've just bare minimum created my Azure account so I can learn how to. I'm very blind when it comes to cloud. I understand the concept. I've done no work in it whatsoever. So I'm very interested in learning the basics. Sign up for a 2-day boot camp. It happens next week. How many hours is this? Like 3 hours a night for 2 nights or something like that? Through O'Reilly Books. So if you're a member of DoD or have DoD affiliation, you get an O'Reilly Books account for free $99. And they have boot camps and they have like a crazy amount of books. I've never not been able to find a book to study for something. They also have video series for pretty much everything you can think of. So free shout out to them. But yeah, so I'm on the Azure bandwagon. I want to learn some cloud stuff. So anybody else studying for anything before we move on?
It dipped a little bit. I didn't study as hard as I did last week, but I got a little bit. Got a little bit in.
Gotcha. But now you know what you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so you know where to target it. Like going into, so Shannon's studying for the CISSP. Going into that thing for the first time is daunting. You're just like, yo, I thought I knew what I was talking about. I thought I knew what I know.
Right.
But sometimes you got to get a taste of the exam before you jump in. And there's practice exams, but all the practice ones I did from the boot camp that I took, as well as the ones I found, for free. I didn't pay for any exam prep. Did not hold a candle to, like, the closest thing was the PMP exam, to be honest with you, with the way things are worded and just how detailed it is. That was the closest exam I had taken to the CISP. I heard Bosun, though, like another free plug. I heard Bosun was pretty close, but I'm cheap. I'm not paying for nothing. You know what I mean? Like if it ain't attached to the boot camp and I can't find it for free, I ain't buying it. So that's just me.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Gotta save that money.
Gotta save that money. But yeah, so that's what we're studying for currently. So If you ever have any questions about studying or anything like that, please hit us up. Hit us up on our social media accounts, except for Shannon, because he ain't got none. He's the only smart one out of the everybody. When it goes down, when it goes down, he's off the grid already, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, definitely hit us up if you have any questions or you want to talk about it. Or I'm always willing to share some information on study materials I used, because I use a lot of them, right? Because again, I'm cheap. So when you're cheap, you got to go to multiple sources. So I got at least 10 for CISP, at least 10 for PMP. Well, that being said, how's everybody's week?
Man, for me, I just I keep mine pretty simple. I didn't really get into too much this week, but I'll say this: I finished watching. Me and the wife finished watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I finished that off today. It's a great series. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It was just like a, just like a fun series, I'd say. Had some crazy parts. I'd say like I was joking with the wife. I feel like the whole series is more focused on like, I say it's either like trying to rescue somebody that got captured, or it's like, or it's like, oh, somebody backstabbed, and then you find out, oh no, they're not backstabbed, and they're actually part of the team. Like that kind of thing.
It's too much. That's the triple cross.
That's a triple cross.
Yeah, right. It's a triple cross.
Cross.
Like I don't trust this person. Oh no, they're okay. They're okay.
I've been working for Hydra the whole time, and then later on they be like, "Nah, I was pretending to work for Hydra the whole time."
That's right.
Like,
exactly. That triple cross. Yeah, it's like a
triple cross.
So
man.
it's it was a good series. I enjoyed it. I'd say if I had to give it like a score at 1 out of 10, I might give it like I give it like a 7 or 8. It was pretty good.
Okay.
But then
does it come to a conclusion, or is it still? I'm not tracking it anymore. Is it still going, or did it have
up?
But did it have an actual like? We know this is the end, so here, let's wrap it up.
I'd say for the most part. I mean, everybody, certain people are still alive. I mean, some of the, I'll say like the main gang is still there, so they could potentially bring it back if they wanted to. But it's like it's kind of really finalized as far as they, really kind of conclude everybody's story. Unless they want to kind of like branch out and make some sort of like little side story or something, make something. I'm sure they could do it. They could bring it back, but it's not like. It seems like it's definitely finished as far as like the storyline is concerned.
Gotcha.
That one can't go to a different network, right? So because Disney owns the Marvel property, it has to stay with ABC, right? ABC is under Disney. Right? Or Disney's under ABC or whatever.
Yeah, I think ABC.
That's a good point.
Under Disney, but they can always pull it to Plus though. They always have that option.
I watched it on Netflix. I don't know what the licensing criteria is right now, how it's controlled, because it seems like it's not only Disney that's able to broadcast it at the moment.
Yeah, true.
So, but with some of those though, like if it was already in place, they were going to wait for that deal to expire, and it just wasn't going to go back to those again. Like you'll start seeing a lot of that stuff come over to Disney Plus now.
Okay,
all the Netflix stuff. Well, not all of it, but I heard that a lot of those characters are coming back. So I think that's pretty cool. Like your Jessica Jones, your Punisher.
What's my boy's name? I know you're thinking about it right now.
I don't know if they can put Punisher on Disney Plus, man. I don't know if they can do that.
You said Punisher?
I don't know if they could put that on Disney Plus.
So I heard he's coming back. So like it's there's a multitude of articles, but they say they want him to reprise his role as the Punisher. But they didn't say where, but it has to be Disney Plus because it's not Netflix. Netflix was basically had a bad taste in their mouth. They were like, it's just too expensive. Like y'all like it's not worth our time. We'll make up some fake superheroes.
I don't think Disney Plus has anything that's above PG-13 on it.
They have what's it called? Don't they have Logan on Disney Plus? That's an R.
I haven't seen that.
Maybe it's not on there.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything that's rated. Like I thought they were trying to be really somewhat family friendly, right? Because like the Marvel movies are PG-13,
right? They
have swear words and whatnot, but like the stuff you saw on Punisher, that'll never.
I could have sworn I saw they want him to reprise his role to be the Punisher again. Same thing with Jessica Jones. They want her to come back to reprise her role. I didn't see anything on Daredevil yet, but
Luke Cage.
But well, Eric, like
Yeah, Luke Cage. I was thinking.
yeah,
I think his
Luke
name.
Cage season 1 was amazing.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
I still have hopes
It was
for it though, because I was
amazing. They had what was it? Mahershala Ali as Cottonmouth.
Yeah.
Like they just had all these dope characters. And then season 2, I didn't even make it through season 2. I was just like, this is whack. What you do? What did you do?
What did you do?
And the Defenders wasn't great either. It was like, yo, this is gonna be crazy. Cause like at the time, Jessica Jones came off a really good first season. I don't remember if the second season, like none of the seasons were as good as the first seasons, except for Daredevil. Daredevil season 2 was fire. I was like, this is great. And then season 3 was killing it. And then Netflix talked about they were gonna cut them off, and I was like, well, I'm done. I'm not gonna finish it. If you finish, I'm finished.
Wow. I'm gonna take Defenders out of my queue. Then I have it in there. Like it
wasn't great. It was just like, yeah, like I don't know. Like it just, I think it was pacing because it was they had to wait for what's his face? What's my man? Iron Fist to finish up before they did it, and no one liked that dude. No one liked Iron Fist. Are you a fan out there? If you a fan of Iron Fist out there, I want to hear from you. What did you like about that? Like
want to hear from that mythical creature.
Yeah.
It's like a unicorn out there. Like,
Yeah,
I loved him. He was flawless.
It just wasn't. It felt like they just picked the wrong guy. Like it's not that he was a bad actor. It's just he just didn't fit. And
he seemed like a bad actor to me. I just watched the trailer and I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not gonna do this.
It wasn't great.
I was like the dude on Shark Tank that never invests money. I was like, yeah, I'm out.
That's Mark Cuban. That's Mark Cuban. If it ain't
Cuban,
second, he's just like, nah, no, thank you.
It's not Cuban. He's always on the far left. I can't remember.
You're talking about the entrepreneur guy,
not Mr. Wonderful. He always sits
the next guy
on the far left.
Yeah. He rarely
Robert or something.
Robert.
Robert.
Yeah. I think his margins are a little bit tighter. Like not to say he's rich, but I just think he's just like, I'm not gambling. Are you making money? No, you ain't making money. No, I'm out.
I think Cuban might be the only one that's like for real rich on that stage, man. I hate to say
he's
that.
Definitely like, he's like on a whole nother level. He's richer than all of them combined.
Wealthy. But he's
okay. I get it, but are they wealthy enough to put the type of money they have to put into some of these ventures though? You know what I mean? Like
right. That's what I'm saying. Like if they ain't making money already.
Yeah. Maybe Barbara, because she's done like Manhattan real estate. Like that's what she invests in. Barbara Corcoran or whatever her name.
She's HSN, right?
No, that's
that's the other lady.
She does QVC, I think.
QVC.
Yeah. But like,
aren't they the same company now? Like, aren't they owned by the same parent?
Maybe. I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you. I never bought anything from there, so I don't know.
Got you.
But Cuban is a legit billionaire. And I saw one time they had, was it Jack Dorsey? They had somebody on there that was another tech guy, and him and Cuban kind of got into it. And the guy had helped start up. Was it might have been
Uber
Jack
guy?
Dorsey, because I think he helped. Was it Uber? Did Jack Dorsey do Uber and Twitter? Because it was like Twitter. It was a couple of the IT things he did. But I can't remember. And when he was on there, he had like a flannel shirt on, like he didn't have a suit on or anything. Jeans, flannel shirt. He was just like whatever, he was like a fill-in guy, right? But,
right.
Him and Cuban kind of got into it. Cuban, go ahead.
I'm thinking of Chris Saka, I guess his name is, but I remember them getting into it. I think he's the guy that started Uber or something. But I gotta look up Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who go in there and get combative.
Yeah, he's the CEO of Twitter. Yeah. I don't know if I saw that episode.
What's the dude's name? Oh man, he's an actor. He played the real dumb guy from that '70s show.
Ashton Kutcher?
Ashton Kutcher was on there, and he got into it with Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, he did not. They were not feeling each other. Like Mr. Wonderful was just like, I'm who I am. So he didn't really seem to be more aggressive than he normally is. But Ashton Kutcher was not feeling it. He still didn't invest. Like he fought him on something. Just like that's not fair, and that's not how you treat people, and yada yada yada. you're like, but I pass.
Right. But
I
this
ain't put my
company
money on
sucks.
that. I'm just gonna be nice about it though.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, how did we get here? Is the
But yeah.
question.
But yeah, I started talking about Agents of Shield, and I think it's talking about like started talking about Disney Plus, and then we started talking about I don't even know how we got
And now we're on Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. Yeah, how do we went from like the Defenders and Jessica Jones and all that to Shark Tank. I don't even know how we made that transition.
I don't know how we got here.
That's a good question. Dang, I don't know what that leap was right there, but
Right.
maybe we got to watch the video later on and figure out how we connected those two.
Well, with all that being said, I think they could do it. I think they can fold it into Disney Plus. They just have to be careful with. It has to be behind a wall of some sort, right? Like you have to opt in to get that channel or whatever, maybe. Because like the Punisher was great. I didn't finish the last season of Punisher either though, because of like once Netflix tells me they're done with it, I'm done with it. So because Netflix will just drop a show. But yeah, I heard a lot of those originals are they're trying to fold them back into Disney, either live action or like movies, live action, or into TV shows.
Yeah, because those are easy money, and those were good shows. Like you said, I really like the Punisher. I finished it. I don't really remember where it left off at now. It's been so long, but that was a good series, along with Daredevil. I want both of those come back, and then hopefully like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, they come back and they come back strong. I mean, I know I think even the last season of Jessica Jones was like a little not as exciting as when it first came out, but
man, that first season was great.
Yeah.
See, this is why I don't trust your opinions, Ryan.
It was a suspense. Like she's not the greatest of actors.
She
never has been. But it was the suspense, like the Man in Purple suspense, man. Like it had me. She had me.
Yeah.
I felt like I wasted a lot of time seeing that through.
And they didn't show her powers for like almost until the end of the season, which was crazy. Like they kept not. She always did her thing off screen, which was weird to me. I was like, well, maybe they're going to make it look more realistic or whatever. But then like there was an episode where she like leapt from the ground floor up to either she leapt up or she went down. It was the first time they showed her do something to do with her strength. And I was like, oh, okay. The second season, she was picking people up and throwing them.
It's like, you're gone.
I don't care no more. It's like she got into a bar fight. You remember the bar fight? That was season 1.
I can't remember right now.
I don't remember it.
He was working people.
It was forgettable to me. It was forgettable. It was just her going through being an alcoholic and just doing
yes.
Like,
but that's her character though.
Yeah, she's like a kind of an anti-hero.
She's a raging alcoholic.
Yeah, wasn't for me, man. I didn't watch the second season of that. I would probably rewatch Daredevil again. I do know I liked the first and second season, but it's been so long since I've seen them, and I got the third one in my queue on Netflix. But I hardly get back to Netflix, man. So it's one of those things.
I live off Netflix. Don't disrespect my Netflix, please.
I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, you know what? I say that, but I did finish up Castlevania today, so I can't.
Yeah,
there. Oh, you finished that up today? Oh, dang! I don't know why I thought you had already finished it.
No, I had stopped in the third because remember, the kids were always coming in, so I was up early this morning. So I was like, let me get through this and finish it up. And I almost didn't make it. I was telling Ryan before we started, like, man, that third season almost lost me, man.
It gets a little dry.
There was no fighting. I
think it focuses on the sisters, right? It focuses on the sisters kind of trying to, like, it's like very political. They're like, with the vacuum of Dracula, now we need to figure out how we're going to cull a certain amount of humans, but we got to keep them alive. They got real like vampire political.
It picked up again. It picked up at the end of the third season.
Yeah,
and then in the fourth season they kept it going. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So
was the city versus Isaac in the third season or second season, where you went to the city and everybody was under mind control?
That was that might have been the fourth season.
Oh, okay.
There might have been
no, it wasn't the fourth season. It wasn't the fourth.
It was.
He survived that, and then they go into something about it in the fourth. I thought it was the third season.
No, I thought it was the beginning of the fourth season, right?
Oh, it may be.
I think
It
so.
may be.
It's beginning of the fourth season because he gave it to the wizard, and then he had them repairing the city, and then they went to not Wallachia, the one where the sisters were.
Yeah, I
Right?
think you're right.
In the fourth
I
season.
think you're right.
I
Yeah.
think it was the beginning of the fourth season. You know what? I can look it up. But, yeah, but no, it was good though. At the end of the third season, because I was so like, all right, I'm done with this, man. Like I'm not gonna keep watching this. And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, they had to show you what life was like outside of the mindless killing and orgies, right? They had to, like, here's a slice of life, peace in the Dracula universe. Right. And they're like, you know what? Let's wrap it. Let's go back up. Because it takes off on the fourth season. They don't play no games. Yeah, they're just getting it in. It's some of the best animation. Like, because I still don't know if you consider it anime or not. It's anime inspired. I wouldn't call it anime, but some of the animation is like phenomenal. It's like, I don't know how much money you spent on this, but this is better than some of the anime movies I've seen in recent times. Like, yeah, they're getting it in.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it, especially like the final battle was like off the chain. Just him like, and like even like leading up to it, some of the confrontations he was having with I guess some of the baddies that were kind of in the way of him getting to the bad guy.
The sub bosses as he's working.
Yeah, the sub bosses. Yeah. He's working up his way to the main boss, which was kind of like that kind of blew my mind who the main boss was. But just the fact that he was fighting that thing that you would think like, how the hell is this human like fighting this goddamn whatever he was. But it's crazy.
So Ryan, you're right. It's the end of the third season.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because like you said, it was pretty boring. And then I want to say it culminated with him going to the city, and that was off the chain. He's basically throwing people at him. Yeah. And then the fourth season just picks up and it does not stop. So I would definitely tell anybody who's interested in it. It's some of the best animation I've seen in probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So, like throughout. Like, because there's some other good anime like Psycho Mob. I thought, or is it Psycho Mob 100 or Mob 100? I can't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah, that's straight anime right there.
Right, but yeah. So if you're big into, I want to say the craft of anime, like the actual animation, like when they're in anything but a fight, it looks rudimentary. It's like we're saving our budget up because you can see it sometimes in like anime, like because it's feast or famine in that type of work. Like they don't waste money. Like I think the dude said at one point he was able to make 4 or 5 frames for a pack of ramen. He said now it's to the point where we have to make 100, 200 frames for a pack of ramen. That's how budgets have shrunk to do with anime. Like it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So they don't waste frames. So like if you watch that one, you're just like, this is trash. like for Shannon, for like anything that's like story driven, you just like, oh, this is dialogue. They don't waste any money. And then the fights, like off chain. Crazy animation. He was like, yo, like, is this the same anime? But the Netflix budget must be ridiculous because they're just like, nah, this whole season is going to be fire. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty good.
So I did watch that, and I watched.
Oh, I think Shannon
did he? Yeah, I think Shannon froze for me too. I got him like holding his hand on his face, like, oh.
The pain.
The pain. I just watched it. Oh, my face.
What did he watch?
Yeah, it's on the edge of our seats over here. Like, oh man, right. When he watched, he got him in pain.
All right. I don't think he's coming back anytime. Oh, there he is. He popped back.
There he goes. He's back in action. Oh, you're muted.
No sound though.
Yeah, we can hear you if you're talking.
I am. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. There we go. Technical difficulties, folks. Is how it happens. But, totally. I also watched the movies that made us on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
You've seen this, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they talk about how some of these movies came to be. The very first one I watched was one of my favorite 80s movies, Coming to America. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched a few of them. So I watched that one. I watched Die Hard, RoboCop, which I remember RoboCop being kind of brutal, but after watching that, I was like, oh yeah, it was kind of brutal, right? Like
Yeah,
they
it
talk
was.
about the scene where they killed Murphy and whatnot, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like they did do a number of them. Yeah.
I remember watching that as a kid. I was like, it kind of like, there's one part where the guy, like, I think they spill acid on him, and then he's walking around like, oh, and then like a car.
Waste.
Yeah, toxic waste. Yeah. And then he gets smashed by a truck or something. And he gets flashes on the windshield. I remember that kind of like being in my dreams or like my nightmares or something as a kid. I was like, oh my God, that grotesque like being getting smashed by a truck. But I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, Shane. I had to
No, you're good. You're
marinate
good
on that.
He had to get off his chest.
I had to get that off my chest. I'm still living that to this day.
You're like, now I'm not scared no more.
I'm not scared. I'm a man.
I'm a man now.
I'm a man now.
Yeah. But that actor was actually in there. So they talked to some of the actors, producers, directors on how the stuff got made and like budgets. Like they talk about the budgets and whatnot. I watched Home Alone today, and Home Alone actually ended up getting made by Fox because Warner passed on it because they didn't want to pay the budget, right? So like Fox was lined up. So they kind of did something a little illegal. So they were under contract with Warner. Warner was to do the budget. But the producer, John Hughes, was talking with Fox at the same time, right? So when Warner cut, it's funny how they tell this story. So Warner called them up and was like, nah, we're not going to meet your budget or whatever. We can't make that happen. So they sent a guy to their offices, and he was going into each office like, shut it down. So the guy that knew that Fox was going to pick it up, he called Fox and was like, hey, Warner, shut it down. The guys from Fox said, don't stop anything. Keep it going. We got you. So as the guy was going through the offices and telling him to pack it up, the other guy was going behind him and was like, nah, we're still on. We're still on. Like, he said it got to the point that when he came out of the last office, he like kind of almost met him face to face and like scared the guy. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's coming out of the office. But it ended up being a 20th Century Fox film, but Warner Brothers had the rights to it initially. And they didn't want to come off. It was like $1.7 million more they didn't want to pay or something like that. And Fox was like, we got you. And it ended up being like the highest grossing comedy of all time. Like it's made like $285 million or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Damn. Back and this is back in 1990 or whenever it was, or 89 or whatever it was. Right. So yeah, damn. Good poor decision for Warner Brothers, you know what I mean? But
amongst others.
Yeah. DC, right? You're gonna say DC? Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting series though, man. I'm just kind of going back and forth for the movies that interest me, right? Like Dirty Dancing, like that's my wife's favorite movie, but I'm just like, I've never seen Dirty Dancing. I don't care about Dirty Dancing.
I think I've seen it once, but I was too young to comprehend what was happening. I was I don't know what this is.
They got a lot of classics on there. They got like Jurassic Park and Aliens and Back to the Future.
You got me right there.
And I plan on watching those too. Yeah. It's 2 seasons. I think it's only like 4 episodes in each season.
Do they do Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nightmare on Elm Street is one of them.
Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pop in on that.
Then they have Elf on there, which is one I'm not like not sold on that one. I mean, Elf is a good movie, but it's kind of like it seems like it's not a classic yet compared to like it has Ghostbusters, Dirty Dancing, Home Alone, all those, Die Hard. But then you have like Elf, which is kind of like, I mean, that's like a.
Well, it's crazy, right? It's crazy, right? Because like when you watch the trailer, they talk about how they didn't think Will Ferrell would be able to carry a film, right? They were just like,
my wife loves Elf. Loves it. We watch it every it's in our house. It's almost like we watch Home Alone and then we watch Elf for Christmas, and then I watch Die Hard. Most people need a room. Like that's a Christmas movie,
right?
You know, so interesting fact about that, because I watched the Die Hard one. Like nobody wanted that role. Like everybody thought the McClane part was wimpy. Like because he's like kind of hiding and like picking people off, and he wasn't a hero charging into action. Nobody wanted to do it, and they had to pay Bruce Willis. I think it was like $5 million, which was a phenomenal amount of money at that time, right? Because the 80s. They had to pay him $5 million. Well, they didn't have to, but when he said he was going to do it, his agent was like, "Pay him $5 million," and they're like, "Well, we got to make the film, right? Like, we got to make it happen." So they did it. Because before that, he was just a TV actor. He was doing moonlighting and something else he was doing. But that was kind of his big break. But they paid him $5 million. And
I was gonna say, because he kind of made it like, man, yippee ki mother.
So he came up with that.
Did he?
He came up with that. It wasn't in the script. Yeah, and this is the stuff they talk about in this series, like the movies that made it. Like, you hear stuff like that. You hear the people that were in line for it and either dropped out or got fired, or it's very fascinating behind the scenes stuff. If you like to watch that type of stuff, you know,
I'm gonna check it out. I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'll probably start with Nightmare on Elm Street though. Like,
I haven't watched that
movie terrified me as a kid. I loved it though. Like, it's weird. I like watching things that scare me, like for real. Like arachnophobia. Like I hate anything with more than 4 legs, right? It's the scurrying for me. It's like my caveman brain can't comprehend it. It's like, why does that thing have so many legs? But I love the movie Arachnophobia. Wow. Even though it literally makes it makes the hair on, like, all the hair on my body stand up. That's how much I don't like spiders. I can feel them moving in the screen. I love the movie.
Okay. I saw that movie one time years ago, and I was just like, whatever. You know what I mean?
That's Shannon on everything.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm boring. I remember arachnophobia when I was that freaked me out. Well, I'll say that made me look at my shoes, like every time I put them on, anytime I was like reaching like into some place that was kind of dark or whatever, I had like turn on the lights and look and make sure there's no spiders in there.
Man, I got that watch. I do that now. I had one the other day. Like, I went downstairs not paying attention. Like, usually I'm on it. Like, I hit the corners, you know what I mean? Like, because it's a big house for one person. So I'm ready. Like, I want all the smoke. I come downstairs, you're not supposed to be down there. You getting it. But I was getting ready for the gym. I was running late. So I get downstairs, I grab my towel. I don't have anything on my feet. And I turn around, and you know how something pulls your eye to a certain direction? So I'm looking in the hallway. I'm about to start walking down the hallway, and then my eye just drops to the floor, and there is a humongous spider on the floor, and it sees me see it. That's how big it is.
Oh, damn.
And it shrinks to like, it's like, oh, I'm dead now. And that motion made me sick to my stomach. I went in instant panic mode.
Curling up,
my stomach, the curling up. I was like, oh, I can't take it.
You had to use your towel or something? You said you didn't have anything on your feet, so you have to use your towel to swat it or something? Like,
to make a long story short, I didn't have many tools. So, but I did have a coffee table, and it got the coffee table. I gave it
damn. Damn, you dropped the whole coffee table on it.
It was big enough where I need to drop a coffee table on.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He's no longer with us, but he was so scared he got frozen.
Yeah,
he's frozen in fear.
Frozen, like, I can't believe this. Oh man, it's okay. This is what happens, folks. This is.
I dropped it gently because I didn't want to break my table, but I dropped it hard enough to murder it.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I went to the gym because I couldn't take it no more. I was like, I can't clean it up right now.
Yeah. You pretty much like Hulk smashed that thing.
Got my shoes on. I went to the gym.
That's kind of like when people like see a spider in the house and they say, like, burn the house down and take it out. Like, see.
Pretty much, I took a picture of it and sent it to my boss. I was like, yo, what is this?
Yeah.
He sent me the meme, kill it with fire. I have nothing. I had no tools. I had nothing on my feet. It was the most terrifying. So if it did come at me, what would I do?
Right.
Drop a table on his ass. That's what I did.
What I was saying before I lost connection, I was like, what did arachnophobia do to you, man? Like,
I do not like them, man. People think it's funny, like, haha, I'm gonna put a fake spider in your desk. Like, no, I'm gonna kill it and I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm scared. I'm literally scared of them. Don't do that to me.
That's hilarious.
I fear anything with multiple legs, but especially when they're big enough. Like this thing was probably it wasn't terribly big. It could have fit in the palm of my hand, but it was big enough.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
had mass.
This was,
You know what I mean? It had fur. I don't like that.
yeah. This was in the States or was this overseas?
It's here. This
Oh,
here.
here. Oh, wow.
Every day now I'm shook.
Yeah. You gotta, yeah. Be careful out there, man. I'm scared for you.
Yeah, because I'm like it came in because it was looking probably for heat. It was like
Yeah.
like it's starting to cool down out here, and I actually had the heat on that night, so it's probably like, oh, it's warm in here. And then it saw me,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, and I was like, oh, smash.
Smash. You get in the coffee table. Now I can't even, yeah. I'm trying to picture that and how that went down. Like picking up a big ass coffee table. Like,
I
boosh.
scooted slow because I was like, can he sprint?
Right.
And I
You might
tipped
have,
it,
like-
and I was like, does he see what's coming? And I was like, he's still playing dead. And I was like, smash. Got my shoes, banging them out to make sure there was no friends in there. Put my
Right.
socks on. It was like, all right, I'll take care of this later.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, man, I can't stand them. Like I actually have a stomachache now thinking about how big the thing was.
All right, moving on.
All right, moving on.
Enough with spiders.
All right. So let's get to the seventh generation of consoles. Let's get
Yeah.
there.
Let's get on that one.
Pretty excited about this one. Some good stuff. Oh, you know what? Because I lost my Windows earlier. I got to pull it back up. So from my memory, I believe it's the 360, the PS3, and the Wii U, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see, Wikipedia.
Yep. Ours Nintendo Wii.
Yeah,
the
the
first
Wii U,
Wii.
right? Or is this the
Not
Wii?
for the 7th.
Oh,
Just the Wii.
Oh, okay. It's the Wii.
360.
Gotcha.
360,
PlayStation 3.
PS3, Nintendo Wii. Yeah.
There we go. So that was a good generation. Like just to do a quick recap. So 360 was the second Microsoft console. So Halo 2, Xbox Online. That's when Xbox Live really took off. I think it launched with a first person, not beat 'em up. It was like a horror game, survival game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was when HD graphics really popped off. It was like, oh, this is an HD, but nobody had an HD TV at the time, so none of us could see it. And for the PS3 was, I had the original. I think it came out November 5th or November 15th. I can't remember, but I bought the fat PS3 with Metal Gear 4, I believe, was the debut game. And then for the Wii, everybody got the party game that came with it. What was it called? Was this called Wii Party? I think it was just called Wii Party, where you had tennis and you had the skydiving game and you had
It was Resort, wasn't it, or something like that?
that was the one that came out for the Wii U. It was
Okay.
not as good, but the Wii popped off in that generation, and it had Mario Odyssey, I want to say, or the first and second one. No, Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy.
Yeah. Because Odyssey came out for the Switch.
Yeah, so Mario Galaxy came out, which was playing with physics and whatnot. In totality, I thought it was a phenomenal generation. Except for I went through 5 Xboxes. I only had to pay for 2 of them. I paid for the original, and then the 4 ones after that all had to be shipped back to Microsoft because they all red ringed.
Damn.
And then the 5th one, I bought an Elite. I did a trade-in thing where I took the last one before it red ringed and I traded in the GameStop and I got the Elite one, which was a better version of the 360.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. I never had a chance to I wasn't hooked on Xbox at this point. So I never had a chance to play with the 360 until I met my wife. My wife actually had a 360 as well as the Wii.
Okay.
And I just had the fatty PS3, but I never had a chance to experience the red ring. I know that was a thing for a while. People were complaining about that happening on I don't know the full story on the background of that, but
It was the solder. Like it would get hot, and then the I think it was the IC chip, or it could have been the CPU would drift, and then that will cause it to red ring or something like that, or the GPU on chip would drift or something weird. And one of the fixes was to make it hotter. You would wrap it in the towel and cut it on, and then that would temporarily fix the situation. It's weird.
Wow.
Microsoft lost $1 billion, I want to say, on the red ring, on the making the shipping process and whatnot. I want to say it was Phil Spencer at the time. Like now he's the head of Xbox, whatever. But I believe it was between him and the other guy who was in charge, Bobby Kotick, I want to say, who left for Zynga or whatever. They had to give a proposition to Microsoft like, hey, we need to fix this, because if we do not fix this, we will lose everything we've put into it so far. And they authorized them like over $1 billion to fix the situation.
Wow.
I did actually have to ship one back. I did have it. Like when it first started happening, I was good. And I was like, all right, I might be fortunate enough. And then it happened one time and I was like, and then I did the wrap in a towel thing, right? To make it hot. And it worked. It actually did work. I remember I was in New Mexico at the time. I was stationed in New Mexico. Wrapped it up, made it hotter, and it worked. But then like it started happening more and more frequently. So I had to ship it. I wasn't without it for as long as I thought it would be. I think it was only like a week. You know what I mean? Like I thought it would be much worse than that. But I was without it for a week and got another. They fixed it and sent it back. I'm guessing. I can't remember if they gave me a new one or not. I think they fixed the one I sent them.
Yeah, I think it's a refurb process. You probably got somebody else's broken one that they fixed or whatever.
Yeah.
They got it faster. Like the first time, I think it took a minute to get my Xbox back. But after that, they started coming pretty frequently. But that's how you could tell the system had games I cared about, right? Because I should just quit. Like I don't want no more of these.
Right. Keep back my money.
That's probably my favorite Xbox, to be honest with you. I don't have a Series X, and I'm not playing the Series S because that's in the States. But between that and my current Xbox One S situation, I say the 360 is my favorite.
What were some of your your favorite games on that system?
Oh man, I would say all the Halos. I played all the Halos on that system. That's back when Live was like the biggest. Like it's bigger than ever before, right? But that's when it was taking off. So I played almost exclusively online with my friends. All the Halos. I had a little gaming clique. It was pro military gaming, PMG. We used to go tournaments and all that stuff. Gears of War, I'd say. So Halo, Gears of War, you see the themes, all shooters, right?
Right.
What was a non-shooter that I used to play on it? I know I was playing Viva Pinata. I had a little phase.
Yeah.
When Rare was making games. Oh man. Man, they're all shooters because I played Black on that one. That was another shooter. I played did I play any fighting games on there? I don't think so.
Grand Theft Auto, you played on there?
I did. I played 4. So I used to play GTA exclusively on Sony machines, but that was the first time I played it on a different console. I played it on my 360. I don't know why. I don't know why I switched over. And GTA 4 is my least favorite GTA.
Yeah,
it was good, but it wasn't. I don't know. Like the DLC for GTA 4 was better than the actual campaign. Like playing the I forget what the biker gang name was, but you played as them in the DLC, and then they had another one called the Ballad of Gay Tony. Gay Tony was a character that owned nightclubs and stuff like that. So you had to run missions for him. That was a good DLC. You probably can't get away with that anymore. You know what I mean? Like the world is different now. But yeah, because he played as Nico Bellic. He was from like the Baltic area. Like I don't think they said Serbia, but it felt very, like he was either from that area or something that mimicked it. But I just didn't like him as a character. He wasn't my favorite character.
Yeah. I was going to say, I do remember one thing. Like I had a friend of mine that had a 360. I played some games with. Actually, when I used to train martial arts, like full time, like all the time, we'd have like these Christmas parties, and one person would bring like the 360, and they had to connect. I guess a Connect device that you can like obviously it records your emotions and can see your movement. And they had dance games that were associated with it. And I think it was called Dance Central. I'm just looking up the list of games. I think it was Dance Central. One of the, if not that one, another variation of it. But I remember like hardcore liking that game. I was like, because we like everybody in the dojo, we were like we just pair off and then we'd start like dancing like and see who gets the highest score. And I just remember it being like super fun, like a really fun activity. And I'd be demolishing everybody because I got the rhythm, I got the style and skill, everything like that. So
right.
I was dominating left and
serving
right.
people.
Serving, yeah. I was like moving like perfect, just like that. So it's pretty much flawless execution. But nonetheless, I remember that being one of my favorites to play on there. And I like the whole Connect thing. I thought that was like a good good like what do you call it? Just like a good device or something. Peripheral, accessory. Yeah. That's kind of like that's almost like the rumble pack of the later generation. But I know they're not really using it much nowadays, but I thought it's pretty legit.
Yeah, it was good when you can buy it separately. It was the next generation we talk about. That's when they went a little too far. They try to force Connect down our throats.
Right.
But what about you, Shannon? You have any Xbox memories before we move on to PS3?
He's frozen again.
No memories. For the PS3, it was for me. It was Metal Gear, and it was Metal Gear. Obviously, Dead Space. I think that's the generation that Dead Space took off. So I think I played it exclusively on Sony consoles. No, I played the first two. So I played the first two Dead Spaces on my PS3. It was the last one, Dead Space 3, I played on my 360 because I think it was like a Games for Gold or type situation.
Right.
There he is. He's back.
Back in action.
There we go.
There you go.
Ask you if you have any 360 games that you want to bring up.
So as usual, I always did my Madden, my 2K, whatnot. But Gears of War was the one that I loved the most. Man, that chainsaw on the gun, I was just like, I have to have that in my life. You know what I mean? So that was a big one for me. I know, like you were talking about how y'all would have like Christmas parties, at the dojo and whatnot, and do the dance thing. So we would do what's the one? The guitar.
Guitar Hero. Yeah.
But it was the band.
Rock band.
Rock band.
Yeah. Rock band. Yeah. So they would have parties now when I was stationed in New Mexico, and they do the rock band, man. And I was like, yo, give me the mic. I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna tear it up. There might be a video or two of me out there on YouTube, you know what I mean?
Were you singing Creep? Radiohead? So you singing Creep? That's my favorite.
Creep.
I used to play. Oh, you froze again. I used to play the guitar, like because I can't sing and I don't have enough rhythm for the drums. So that was my instrument. Was the guitar. It made you feel like you could really play an instrument.
Yeah,
I cannot.
Yeah, it truly did. Yeah, I know.
Those skills did not translate at all.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, but I was saying rock band. I said, were you singing Creep? But Radiohead. It's Radiohead, right?
I don't know who sings that. I don't remember that one.
You remember Creep? He said, I don't like. It's like the hook is like, I don't belong here. I can't sing. I'm not gonna do it. But Chance having technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So moving on to PS3. So what did I say? Dead Space. Like Dead Space was amazing. Like the first two, third one was okay.
Yeah.
But the first one with the necromorphs, man.
Yeah. I played that game. I played the first one all the way through. I think the second one as well. But it's been so long, I can't remember all the details of it. But I do remember really liking the Dead Space games. I didn't play them that generation though. I think I played it later on, like when it re-released on like PS4 or something.
Okay, gotcha.
I think something like that. Yeah.
But
I like those games.
They're remaking, remastering, rebuilding. I don't know what you would call it, but and they showed some video of it, and it actually looks amazing. It kind of like when you first see it, it was like, oh, that's how I remember it looking. And then they did it side by side, and I was like, ooh, memory bias is crazy.
Yeah.
Like it did not look like that when I played it. But
Right.
I'm pretty excited about that coming back out. But yeah, I played man, what else did I play on the PS3? I played the mess out of PS3. I played both of those genres. I played obviously the Resident Evils that came out during that time. I think Resident Evil Code Veronica ported over from the Dreamcast and came over. So I played it again because it had extra content with Ada Wong was in it from Resident Evil 2. She dropped you the rocket launcher. Here.
Yeah. I was like, here you go.
Yeah.
Did you play any of the what's it called? Uncharted?
Was that? Oh yeah,
Uncharted
yeah. Uncharted 1. I liked Uncharted 1. I played it before it had trophies. So remember there was a time before trophies, so you had in-game stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it made me play it again because then trophies came out. And I was like, I want all the trophies and stuff. And it was literally the trophies in the game were the same trophies.
Right.
I remember that gamer score versus trophies. I was always pro trophy, not gamer score. Like who cares? I got 1,000 points.
Right.
But I got that gold trophy. You got that platinum?
Yeah. Right.
you ain't got that platinum. So I platinumed 1 and 2. I never platinumed 3 or I guess 4 is a different generation. But I played the mess out of those games because you couldn't play it on crushing until you played it on the second hardest. Hold on, I got to send Shannon the link. He's been locked out.
Oh dang! Get him back in here.
Get him back in here.
What about you, Shannon? Yeah, so I was going to say I played some Uncharted. I played Uncharted later on, not this generation, but I was looking at some of this list here, and I think like God of War, I think came out maybe God of War 3 or something like that. Came out on the PS3, maybe in the PS2. I don't know. They kind of I get lost in some of the generations.
I think the first one came out on PS2 when everybody's moving on to 3. I believe that's when the first one dropped. It was like a reason to hold on to the console type situation. Right. But then the sequels came out on PS3.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was big into, as you guys described, the Rock Band and Guitar Hero. And Guitar Hero in particular. I didn't really have Rock Band, but until I met my wife and she has the Rock Band. But
right.
I just had the Guitar Hero and I remember jamming on that. I remember the song, I think it's like Doves Over Dover or something like that, or something like that. It's something over Dover. I remember that being one of my favorites. The jam out on the guitar, like you said, is like you can play that all day, but you never play the guitar. You think you're good all of a sudden, but you get a real guitar in your hand, you're like, what the hell do I do with my hands?
Right, exactly.
But I enjoyed that, and then I enjoyed. What did I play on there? I played some like UFC game. Played some like I want to say one of those games called like Unreal Tournament type games.
Oh, okay.
I think a couple of those came out on the PS3. But the PS3 is kind of like a little bit of a gray area for me. I don't remember, I don't have like really super fond memories besides like Guitar Hero, like playing on the PS3 in particular. Yeah, there's nothing that like really sticks out in my mind. I'm like, oh man, I love that game on PS3. I think I played some of the Metal Gear games as well, but I'm looking through this list right now of all the games that came out, like Killzone. I think
Killzone was my man. Killzone was my jam. Like a lot of people don't like Killzone because it was slower, but I'm into the slower FPSs like Halo, or at least Halo was slower. Halo's fast now.
Right.
When I play Infinite, it does pick up a lot quicker. But
right.
Killzone was very methodical. Like you had a weight. Like your character felt heavy as you. Man, listen. I think I made to the top 10%.
Oh damn!
There was a trophy for like the top 10, top 1%. I think I made to the top 10%. I was murdering people because it's something about that slower pace. I just get it. You know what I mean? I'm tracking. Give me the shotgun.
Right.
Murdering cats.
Yeah. I think Bioshock. I never played Bioshock, but that.
Oh man, you're bringing out all the bangers. Bioshock, phenomenal series. Like the first one, especially. Like I'm a big on the first thing. Like your first round, you had to switch it up, Shannon. You on a different device?
I switch it up.
Oh, he's on the cell phone now. It looks like
I had to go to the phone, man. I had to go to the phone. I think it's my laptop because I asked everybody else in the house and they said they're doing fine. So it's my laptop acting up.
Yeah,
got you. So we moved on to the PS3. We're going over some of the bangers Uh, LeVon just brought up Bioshock. Bioshock 1, woo, going to Rapture. That's my thing. So again, like everybody who listens to the show knows I'm big into dystopic, like novels and TV, like that game. Excuse me. It's very man. I would say what's a good Fall of Man type story. It's not quite 1984, but it's more like Brave New World. Like you have this utopic society because everybody basically it's a play on Atlas Shrugged. So Atlas Shrugged was an Ayn Rand book. Like, what if all the people who were actual people of power influence, like the people who actually make culture, just left. Like it just took like just left us to our own devices. Just we peasants were left to our own devices. Nobody likes Ayn Rand, by the way, but it's a play on that, right? Like it's like, what if all these poets and artists and engineers all went to a city under the water, like Atlantis type city, called Rapture, and it starts off, of course, utopic, and then it just descends into madness, and is the best story ever.
Right. Yeah, I got to get into that one. It's that's one I have on my list. I think I have I don't know, one of the gaming services, either Xbox or PlayStation, had it like on a free month game, the free month of the free game of the month or something like that.
Right.
So I think I got it hooked up on there, but I gotta get into that one. So I think I have like what is it, like 3 or 4 of them that came out.
Yeah. So Bioshock 1, phenomenal. Bioshock 2, the DLC is better than the actual campaign. It's one of those situations where two different companies, like I believe the company who did oh man, I'm not forget what the name of the game is, but they're known for making good DLC, making good smaller games. They made the DLC for Bioshock 2, phenomenal. I think you could play it without the campaign now. I think you could just buy the DLC and just play the DLC. But it's not that it was a bad game. It just wasn't as good as the first one. Like the first one had a pivotal moment for gaming in general, where you just like, yo, like, am I like it made it's one of those situations where it's like, am I the character or am I playing a character? Like there's a moment where you're just like, yo.
Yeah, I gotta check that one out.
Yeah. And then I think the third one was Infinite. So the third one is a plane different direction, right? Instead of being a city under the water, it's a city in the sky. And that one is pretty cool as well. It has some racial undertones because it takes place in what's supposed to be a romanticized period of time, like back in the 40s, 50s. I want to say it's the 40s, 50s. It could be a little bit earlier, but it has distinct lines. Like it wasn't ideally for everybody.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, okay, I see what you did here.
Right.
So I would definitely recommend 1 and 3. Supposedly it's coming back though. They're saying they're going to make another Bioshock, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
What else? Was it Red Dead? Did Red Dead come out for free?
Red Dead. I was going to mention that too. Yep. Red Dead Redemption.
Yep.
The original one, I guess. Yeah.
You had The Last of Us.
I gotta tell you, I played Red Dead. It was on a later system, but I wasn't thrilled with it, man. Like everybody, like it's made a lot of money and everybody loved it, but I borrowed it from one of my coworkers and I was like, this ain't for me.
Well, you get to like, you have to be like, I'm not big into cowboys, but I do like a few cowboy flicks and whatnot. But it's just, it feels boring, right? It feels like a boring time.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the campaign. Like I didn't do a lot of stuff outside of the campaign. Like I didn't do a lot of hunting or fishing. I didn't do a lot of the side quests, but I did do the main campaign, and I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, nothing but space.
Like when I borrowed it, I spent more time playing poker, I think it was, or whatever the game, the card game was, or whatever. I was just like, this ain't for me. So I gave it back to him. I probably only had it for like 4 days or so, and was like, this ain't for me.
Yeah. So this one during this generation, you play as Marston, I want to say, and the one you probably played, the more current sequel, is a prequel. So you're playing before this story, which I knew it, but I didn't know how they were like they slid the two of them together smoothly. I was like, wow, they did a good job.
Mm.
Like, but yeah, I wasn't big into the first Red Dead. Like some of my friends were, but I did play Redemption. I did like it. What else came out there in that generation? Skyrim. I didn't ever play Skyrim. Um, all the Uncharted's. Oh, timely. Obviously, GTA was big during the time. San Andreas, the only GTA I'd never beat. So the trilogy is coming back out. They're going to do a remaster of the trilogy. So you get 3, Vice City, which is my favorite GTA soundtrack alone, and San Andreas. But if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you're going to get San Andreas for as part of the service. So that's the one. That's the only one I needed. Like I plan on going back and playing. Like 3 was phenomenal, but the protagonist is silent. It's kind of weird now because all of them are characters. You know what I mean? Like Ray Liotta was the main character in Vice City. He's just playing himself.
Right.
But to go back to a silent protagonist would be kind of weird, right? But they're doing it. So I plan on going back and playing 3 in Vice City remastered in the future, maybe when they go on sale or something like that. Because you're getting a pack, you're getting all 3 of them for $60, which is not bad, especially just licensed soundtracks. Like the soundtracks is phenomenal to begin with. So I'm pretty excited about that. But the one game I was like, I gotta get and I gotta beat is San Andreas, so I can call myself a real gamer, right? That's gonna be on Game Pass. So this November, guess what I'm playing? San Andreas.
Right.
Exclusively San Andreas.
Hell yeah. I never played the Andreas GTA, but I'm glad it's coming on Game Pass. I'll definitely have to check it out. Did you say, do you know if they're going to be like upgrading or like remastering it? Okay.
So if you watch the trailer, they've updated all of the lighting, they've put in 4K textures, but they're all stylized. Because they went back and they used the Unreal Engine, but is like they would have to rebuild these games from scratch. Like your memory bias, right? Like I talked about Dead Space. I was like, no, I always look like that. And then you see it side by side, you're like, oh, it looked terrible.
Right.
So they couldn't do too much without completely rebuilding the game. So they all have a distinct look. It's kind of cartoony for 3. I think 4, or not 4. Vice City is a little bit more neon. It like pops a little bit more. But San Andreas looks like it's the most up-to-date one. But because remember San Andreas, they had hands like this.
Right.
They look like Chris Rock. Hey, CJ.
Right. Now they actually got some fingers.
They might have some fingers now. I didn't see any particular fingers in the trailer, but they're not going to look like GTA 5. Just put it out there like that. They're not going to like GTA 5, but they will be palatable. That's the main fix they did. Like they fixed it to make it look good on HD TVs.
Right.
Good enough, I should say. Not phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, San Andreas is off the chain. Like it's got Samuel Jackson in there playing a cop.
Damn. Okay.
And a lot of people were blown because of like the story revolves around, I think it's the Grove Street gang, and they dropping N-bombs like no other. And so you can't play this game around your kids. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like it's
put on your headphones.
It's wild. GTA San Andreas is wild. But it was just too big. Like GTA San Andreas was the equivalent of like 2.5, almost 3 games in size. Because it encompassed, it was Los Angeles, I forget what they call it, Vegas, and another area, like humongous maps. And then your character could, depending on how much you worked out and ate, he can get fat, he can get diesel. There was a lot of stuff happening. And for whatever reason, I just didn't have the time to get through it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I got none but time now.
Right. I was gonna say you got plenty of time now to knock out all your games or your backlog of all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. But so moving on to the Wii before we get off, the Wii, like, so obviously the party game that came with it was a banger. Like, that's all you needed. was the Wii and the party game. You're good, but it
Wii
had
Sports.
yeah, Wii Sports. There you go, Wii
Sports,
Sports.
right.
Like tennis was my favorite. But aside from that, it also had Mario Galaxy, which was I thought one of the better Marios since 64. What else was on it? There's a lot of games.
Mario Kart Wii.
Mario Kart Wii. I remember having the racing wheel.
Yeah,
You put your Wii controller in the racing wheel.
That's right.
You could do it. I hated it. It was I always went back to regular controls. I was like, nah, no, we can't get down like that. What else?
I wasn't a big fan of the Wii. Like, if I want to play video games, I want to sit down and veg out. You know what I mean? Like the fact that I got to do the movement and whatnot. But like as time went on, like every once in a while we'd have like a work party or something that have Wii. Then you see people like all you had to do with tennis was just like flick your wrist. You didn't really have to move. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
right.
All the movement and everything. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's all you got to do. But then I ended up handing it down to my children when we got it, and I don't even think they played it much after it got handed down to them. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah. I remember I was all in, man. I was swinging my arm wildly.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's how it was when you first got it, right? Like doing the bowling and doing all that. I was like, oh, my form is about to be on. My chest. Oh, I was like, not a strike, you know. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. I never had a
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was talking to myself. I put in Wii U by accident.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually I never had a Wii, but I played some of the games either through like friends or again when I met my wife, she actually had a Wii. So I played the games on there. I played like the Mario Galaxies. And I like those games. I like that, like you mentioned the Mario Kart Wii with the controller. You had to like turn it, even though it was like not as, it's a little bit harder, obviously, using the controller like that as opposed to like doing a regular like jump dash or jump slide kind of like around the corners and stuff like that. But it was a fun console. I mean, I think it's like one of the top selling consoles of all time.
Yes. Yeah, because everybody had it, right? Like they're marketing it to not just kids, but just to anybody. So like you would see commercials with older people.
Right.
You know, they'd have to like in like retirement homes and stuff like that. Like be active, get a Wii. Type situation.
Yep.
Like it was their marketing campaign was off the chain. It was like they had the two Japanese guys in it. It was like we would like to play. Like they come to the door. They had the taiko drums or whatever in the background. We would like to play. I was like, man, y'all are killing it with this one.
Yeah.
It never really had a banger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it had a lot of shovelware.
Yeah. And I think what was the game I'm looking? Oh, like some of the Mario parties were pretty fun at the time. I mean, just for like party games, as far as like if you have a bunch of people over, you could do some stuff. But besides that, it's like not like a lot of big games. I mean, it had some Zeldas. They had like Skyward Sword and then the Twilight Princess, which I remember playing.
Only two Zeldas I never beat. Never got through them.
They were okay. I mean, they were. I think was it Skyward Sword? I think that was when it first like integrated the Wii remote and everything. You had to use that to like aim your bow and arrow and all this kind of stuff. But you can use swing your sword around.
Yep.
And then bring up your shield and stuff. So it was kind of cool how that worked out. But that's like too much work for Shannon. Shannon be like, oh hell no, I'm trying to relax.
That's not what video games are for. That's not the case, man.
That's right.
Right.
Not at all.
Out of those three, I would say the most work. It was almost tied between my 360 and my PS3. Like again, it's kind of like this generation. Like I played all my online games on my 360, and I played all my single player games on my PS3, and it was pretty evenly yoked in that regard. I only pulled the Wii out to play party games or to play Galaxy. Like I played Galaxy by myself, but the rest of it was all party games.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Especially nowadays, I don't want to talk about the Switch, but it's kind of the same thing in now generation. This generation, as far as the Nintendo, I'm not playing a lot of like, it's not like there's some big games every once in the blue moon for the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
But I think it's kind of similar with the Wii. It had a few big ones, like some of the Zeldas and the Marios, but mostly it was like it felt like more of a party party system. Like you need to have some people around you so you can play some of the Wii sports and play some of the tennis and that kind of stuff. Besides that, it was kind of like, to me, it was kind of like an okay console. It wasn't like, earth shattering, like, oh, you gotta have a Wii. Because like I said, I never even had a Wii. At the time, I was really like super into like getting one. I didn't think it was like really worth it at the time. But I can appreciate some of the games on there. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, and they're hard to come by too. Like I think I got the 360 on day one. The PS3 I think I got on day one. Yeah, because I got the expensive one, and so it was still some at GameStop because it came with a game. But it took me a minute to get a Wii, like because I couldn't find it in store. So I think I got my Wii off eBay. I paid a little bit more than retail for it. But then one day we were going into remember Fred Meyer, or I don't know if you've ever been to Alaska, but Fred Meyer is a retail store there. I walked in and there was one on the shelf randomly. And we picked it up and we sent it to my brother-in-law.
Nice.
Back in Buffalo. I was like, man, what's the chances of us walking the store and it's just sitting there? So we sent it back home. But that's when consoles first became scarce. Let's call it like now you can't find nothing nowhere.
That's the truth. Yeah.
But it was a decent generation. Like I would again say 360 would be my favorite, but I probably played my PS3 just as much. But it definitely had, like, now that you brought up the list, it definitely had some bangers. I was like, what did I play back then? Like, oh yeah, all these phenomenal games.
Yeah.
That's what I played.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's like to me, it doesn't have as much memory. I think I played one game I'll throw a quick shout out to was the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. I remember playing that.
Oh yeah. There you go. That was the banger of that generation.
Yeah, that was a banger for me because I remember playing that all the time, playing online and playing the story. The story mode was really good too. The campaign. Yeah, but it was that's like one of the highlights of that generation for me as well. But I have to say, if I had to like pick, a certain generation, I think that generation I didn't like really get into as much as some of the other ones. I didn't really have as many games, I think, or I wasn't like playing games as much as I was in maybe some of the earlier generations or even like kind of now. But it had some good games for sure. Definitely, there's some good games out, but I don't think I gamed as much, or I didn't enjoy it as much as maybe some of the other generations for myself. Right. Especially like the Dreamcast and all that kind of stuff.
Right. This is when we started getting jobs.
Yeah, that's right. I did have I had a job by this time.
Shannon was already employed, but we were actually starting to work at this time. So yeah, we didn't get in as much. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good generation. Next week we will go over Gen 8. I should have pulled this up while we were talking. Let's see, gaming.
That's like Xbox One, PS4, right? Is that what that's going to be?
I think so. It's definitely the Wii U. I got a funny story about the Wii U.
Wii U, yeah.
You know what? It's not popping up. Hold on, talk amongst yourselves. Well, I got to find this.
Well, that's the next generation, right? So like it'll be Xbox One, PS4, Wii U.
Right.
I don't know if Switch is in there. Switch might be in there, right?
Yeah, it's technically in that one.
Yeah.
Switch.
Right. That's what's throwing me off because you can't go by common sense because like Nintendo doesn't go by generations. Nintendo's like, we do what we want.
Right.
Maybe not.
Throws everything off.
Yeah, because the Switch came out that come out like.
Oh, almost got it. This is making for really good radio right here.
Yeah, it came out March 2017. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be at least like 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's like 4 years old, and it's still like, it's still hanging in there. They had the OLED version come out recently, but it's like the same hardware in the back end. It's like not much different.
I can't find my normal list though, because this one is saying that they just skipped the Wii U. That was a thing. That was a console.
Yeah, definitely.
It existed. I had one at the crib.
Yeah, they
just consider
it
part of the Wii. Are they just consider it part of the Wii generation and just an upgrade to that? Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
not like
yeah.
Go ahead.
It was his own thing for like how long did it last? Like 3 years, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, according to the Wikipedia article you referenced before, it
Oh,
has the
you
Wii
have
U
that
thrown
one?
in. Yeah, it has the
Okay,
Wii U
that's
thrown in with the Switch as well.
does it? Okay, so
They
there's some
consider it like in
overlap.
the same generation. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
uh I guess 2012 going on to like into like 2019, I guess.
Gotcha.
Uh,
And what are the systems they named then?
so they have the Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
Okay. So yeah,
So
so
they
that's
kind
that
of
weird overlap. Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's what we're discussing. I again I have a funny story about a Wii U, but it was definitely a change. It was a shift
Mm,
for Nintendo in their dominance right there.
right.
But there's
Mm.
definitely some bangers there, but like it was a lot of missteps, right? Like the Xbox had a humongous misstep at the beginning. PS4 was killing the game almost throughout. Because they're coming off the PS3 was like their dipping point because it was just expensive ass console for no reason, like for a reason. Like it was technology, right? But it was so like everyone hated it. Like every developer was like, "This is trash.
Mm,
This thing is hard to program for." Um, so that this was their rebound. And then like we brought up, it's weird. Like Nintendo had two consoles during the same generation because the Wii U uh, underperformed so poorly that they had to pull themselves out of it.
yeah, yeah. They're like, get the next one out quick.
Yeah, like get out the door, which then overlaps, right? Like it's weird. It's a weird generation, but we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, definitely continue to tune in. Again, we cover topics on Mondays and Tuesdays. We have a discussion on Wednesdays. We might have an Ask Us SP on Thursday, but we would definitely have we call it the rundown on Friday. We talk about everything else. As you can see, we went from we're all over the place. QVC was in there.
Right. Somehow it went. Yeah,
We're everywhere. We're everywhere in this episode.
yeah.
But I like that. It gives us a chance to unwind about everything else. But definitely continue to tune in. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, LeVon. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you guys spending your evening, my morning, discussing this stuff. Again, if you're a listener and you are a person of color who is in one of those C-suite senior level positions or has a job that we don't typically talk about to do with cybersecurity, please shoot me a note so we can get you on. Obviously, I have to meet with you first, make sure you're not crazy, and then we'll get you on. As well as I hit people up. So if I hit you up, you can say no, that's fine if you don't have the time, or we could try to make the time. I know my schedule is pretty crazy, but hit the social medias at www, three W's, theothersideofthefirewall.com. You can hit me up personally, ask me a question, whatever, at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. And you, LeVon?
Hit me up on the Twitter at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.